why do students cheat? I think it is important, it is helpful to understand why students cheat, because then we can address the causes, right? So there's actually a really good survey paper by Ibrahim Al-Bloui, just recently, actually, 2019, where it was specifically on cheating on programming assignments. And he surveyed the literature, but basically viewed it through this lens of the fraud triangle, which is something that's been used in understanding crime, understanding cheating, understanding plagiarism, and so on. And it's basically that there's three components that lead somebody to potentially cheat. So the first is that they have to have pressure, right? That there needs to be a reason for them to want to come up with, an alternative way of coming out for turning in their homework. So there needs to be some pressure. And for our students' case, it's usually grades, right? They need to get the good grade because the grade means that they can go on to the next class. And if they go on to the next class, they can eventually get their degree, right? So there's pressure there. There needs to be an opportunity, right? I mean, it's very hard to cheat if somebody's just staring, watching you sitting, like if you could sit there and watch your student program, they wouldn't go off to some outside website and just copy code because they know they'd get caught, right? So they need an opportunity. And then there needs to be some rationalization, right? So, because people don't want to view themselves as cheaters, right? So there's usually some sort of rationalization that goes on, something like, well, I'll learn it later. Or, well, I really don't need to know this in order to be successful in my career. Or, well, the professor's really not being reasonable. They're giving us too much work, so it's okay for me to take this other route. Or everybody else is doing it, so if I don't, I'm going to fall behind. There's all sorts of rationalization that goes on. There's another aspect that I like to point out, which is that most of us are teaching very young students, right? Young meaning 18, 19, 20, 21. And all the research in the last 10, 15 years has shown that the brain is not actually fully developed at that age, right? It's not until about age 25 that all your decision-making part of your brain has really developed. So prior to that, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds tend to be driven more by emotion than people who are over 25 years old. They think of immediate rewards rather than long-term consequences.